Hey everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. And of course guys, it's December, almost here. Monday be the 1st of September and we're just beelining in to 2026. Look at the day, Thursday today. A little bit of an easterly on the back of what's been a couple of rough days with extreme weather conditions, big storms and a lot of heat. Out wide guys, it still looks pretty good. There's not lots of marlin out on the shelf. Water temp, again, that 23 degrees, fairly constant, a little bit lower in some patches, but it doesn't look too bad. A lot of bait still seaweed. I'm still getting lots of reports. There's quite a few fish up around above the car park, up around and about that, 32.55 down to probably 33.03. But no doubt there's a few more fish down on the mids and the southerns. It's just a matter of getting out there. It doesn't look that bad tomorrow. We've got a little bit more of a nor'easter tomorrow, but nor'west winds Saturday. A southerly supposed to come through because it's fairly warm Saturday, around about midnight, thereabouts, on Saturday afternoon. And then of course we'll have some easterly winds into Sunday. So the next real significant change from this weather that we're seeing here now is next Tuesday when we drop in temperature and we're going to start to get some southerlies. So it looks very, very good. No reports really of dolphin fish on the FAS. I did get a report today. There has been a little bit of dolphin fish activity on a couple of the Newcastle FAD and above, but we're not going to see that, I don't reckon, until the end of December. So as I say, this year is really getting through quite quickly. There's some really nice snapper getting caught back in that deep water, and I did get a report today. One of our good mates, Logs, has been out there a few mile away in that deep water, in and around about that 100-metre line. But there's some really nice reds. But the tide has been really the crucial part about it, making sure you're fishing right on the top of the tide. There are a few kings still down in the Texas, no big numbers, but it's still encouraging to get down. But of course, what you've got to consider, if you're going to go down the Texas this time of year and you get a 25 knot nor'easter, they're going to get flogged stupid. So you've got to work that out and try to work out to go when there's a little bit more of a sou'wester if you're going to go that far south. The inshore fishery, those inshore trag are still in very, very good numbers. So that is something to sort of look forward to, particularly we've got half a moon now heading in to the full moon late next week. So it's ideal to get out there and chase a few of these trag, and definitely some of these inshore mulloway. There will be some mulloway on these inshore reefs. The same is there's a few reds, and not big reds, guys. There's the odd fish in around about that kilo and a half or better, but it's still encouraging. And there's some really nice flathead if you move around. Obviously a few tiger flathead and some of those blue spots still there. The beaches looks very, very good. And of course, when you look at those tides, 9:30 low Saturday and 3:45 high on Saturday afternoon, that high tide Saturday afternoon looks very, very good, not only for offshore, but for the beach. There's some reports of mulloway on the beaches, brim, a few dart, surprisingly enough, but we're now starting to see a few whiting in on our beach. So definitely the Belmont Blacksmith stretch for whiting, and Stockton in particular, well worth the go. I think even Teagarn's Hawk's Nest, guys, if you want to get up that far, yeah, definitely have a bit of a look. The rocks, look, there's still drummer around and you're still going to get brim and trevally. I haven't got any real solid reports, but there's still encouragement there, and I think that weather, particularly that nor'west, fairly strong nor'west on Saturday, would be ideal if you want to do a little rock fishing, particularly late in the afternoon. The estuary here, obviously we're down here on Swansea Channel. The head's behind us, a few boats zigging in and out, which is fine, but the sea condition behind us, beautiful conditions. As I say, those westerly winds are going to persist into the next few days, so this is why a lot of guys are going to head out on the shelf, or they're basically going to start to get on that inshore fishery and have a look. But a lot of fish in the estuary here at the moment. Quite a few squid, but brim, trevally, and a lot of whitening. Of course, again, new age for the tube worms, guys. But the quality of the whiting, unbelievable. I spoke to Grant Slender and Steve through the week. They had an opportunity to have a bit of fish around the back of Swansea there with tube worms, and they only got half a dozen whiting, but there wasn't a whiting under 40 centimetres. Then, of course, a couple of brim, and then the Convery boys finally got back to me. I've been waiting for these reports. Brim and whiting in on the flats. But one thing is for sure, the estuary itself here at the moment is chock-a-block full of small brim, 23s to 28s. And look, there is countless numbers. So when you get on the flats and you're starting to fish for whiting and you start to catch a few of these 23s to 28s, just pull the pick and get out of there, because as some of the boys are finding out, you'll catch 20 to 30 of those guys before you even look like catching anything else. It's just no sense, for my mind, in wasting your hooks and wasting your bait on 23 to 28 centimetre brim. Just get out of there, move around. Once you start to move around and pick the tide, and I still think the run-in tide, or the last of the run-in tide, is definitely the way to go at this stage, because the water temperature is still very, very good. That is where it will be. And again, look, another week or so's time, that full moon will roll through, then we'll start to head towards that December prawn run, which is another key opportunity. A lot of flathead through the system, and there's still a lot of flathead in the estuary, but we're now getting some good reports of mulloway as well. And I do think that full moon rising up, getting a few live squid or even a few fresh squid, putting the time in on the lake, you'll do well. A lot of crab pots. Everyone, I've seen a few photos this week, but not only haven't seen photos, you only got to go down to the lake itself and see exactly how many crab pots are out there at the moment. There are heaps. So again, just to revise on what's legal, you are allowed still, until the DPI decide to sharpen themselves up a little bit and get to the bottom of it all, 4 witches hats per person and 2 enclosed traps. And basically when we talk about enclosed traps, guys, we're talking about the round type. Those rectangular type are no-go. And obviously we've got big dramas with the green sea turtles in the lake with those rectangular type, because the entrance is too wide, and that is what's killing them. So you're allowed actually 6, believe it or not. I don't know how, but we are. So that is why you're seeing so many pots on the lake, because if 2 of us go out there, potentially, you can have 12. So you got to thin it out a little bit, and hopefully DPI do a little bit for it. There's a lot of activity down the bridge at night, guys, particularly Fridays and Saturday nights, so just be aware of that. If you are trying to commute of a night, and nighttime fishing this time of year ideal, you're just going to have to take your time, because there is like 30 to 40 guys Friday and Saturday night on that bridge, and there is a lot of lines down, and it is quite dangerous. Unfortunately, no one seems to be looking at it. Waterways don't want to involve it yet, but if we keep the squeaky wheel, is the only way we get the result. All in all, have a great weekend. Looks great. Fishing's fantastic in the estuary. I think the offshore is improving out of sight. See you next week.